Kaustubha Das here with a big announcement for Wisdom of the Sages listeners. This August will be Ashram Month at the Super Soul Farm. Simple ashram living, rising early, morning kirtan, yoga and pranayama, healthy vegan and vegetarian meals, farm seva and being immersed in nature, and then gathering in the evenings for kirtan and readings. Plus, each week we'll have a lead presenter teaching a different facet of the philosophy and lifestyle of Bhakti-yoga. Week number 1 will be the exceptional Bhakti Lata teaching a course called The Beauty of Bhakti, bringing the culture of love and devotion into our lives. Week number 2 is my brother from another mother, Raghunath, teaching Falling in Love with Divinity, the Bhakti-yogi's method for opening the heart. And week number 3 is myself with a course called Following the Path, examining the history and teachings of Bhakti-yoga. You can come for 1, 2, or all 3 weeks, and the pricing is by donation. For more dates and information, go to wisdomofthesages.com/events. Peace.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Walk on Wednesday. That's the day we bring somebody interesting that we like on the show for a few minutes, talk to them, pick their brain, ask them what they're up to. But before we get to our special guest, Kaustubha, good morning.
Good morning, Raghunath.
You sent my daughter off to Germany yesterday. Thank you for taking care of her yesterday. I appreciate that.
No problem at all.
She wrote me a text, said, "They're such wonderful hosts."
Oh,
Yeah, that's sweet.
you didn't do much.
I know. That's what wonderful hosts say. Don't they? Right? Don't wonderful hosts say things like, "Oh, it was nothing."
It was nothing.
A horrible host would be like, they came here. We weren't expecting them. I had to whip up some food. No, you're a wonderful host. Thank you. Special day today, right?
Today is a special day. We could talk about it later. Yeah.
Okay. We'll keep it secret until then. Mara, any announcements, Mara? I can just spin my new microphone.
It's nice. We have Bhakti Recovery Group meetings at 1 and 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And this evening is Lauren Baptiste's Ayurveda workshop on managing the heat naturally for summertime. That's at 7 p.m.
I like that.
Yeah. All right. She's a wonderful person, Lauren Baptiste.
She's a wonderful person. That's a great name for a course, Managing the Heat Naturally. Well, today we have one of our favorite Sanskritists who's been on the show before, I think more than once. It's been more than once. But anyway, we're happy to have him back. Please welcome Nityananda Prabhu all the way from Gujarat. Hello, Prabhu.
Karuna is a big fan over here. She's like getting excited.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, Karuna, Nityananda has his 2 daughters with him. How old are your daughters, Nityananda?
11 and 8.
And how many shlokas do they know?
It's not a competition, but we've got an 8-year-old
over
here.
30.
Nice.
We're going to ask your daughters to come and chant because they made these incredible YouTube videos, Kaustubha, with the daughters chanting.
What are they chanting?
They're chanting all different like classic Vedic mantras, but we're going to, I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Okay.
It's okay, Nick. We could talk first and then we'll get those kids and they better listen or they're in big trouble.
Yeah. No, they are ready. Shall we chant?
Yeah. Why don't you share a little bit about Nityananda Prabhu, Raghunath?
Well, Nityananda is a Sanskrit scholar. He's been studying for how many years now? 14?
Closely since 2005.
Wow.
Okay, almost 20 years.
Yeah, and now he's a great teacher, and he's got these great online courses we're going to put up on the board in a second. That me and Mara we were going to study it once before, and then something happened. I got COVID, or can't remember that. But now we're back on it always happens. But now we're back on the Sanskrit path with our leader and captain Nityananda Prabhu, and the courses are so good. He's so animated. There's certain people that are just good at teaching. You know what I mean? They could teach anything, but there's some people who are good at stuff, but they're not good at teaching. So teaching itself is an art, and you're a very good teacher. You're very animated. I just like looking at you while you teach and just listening. So thank you for this. Thank you for that. And one of them is a free course. It's like all the prayers that they do in ISKCON that that you might be pronouncing wrong all these years. And you know what's really great and what's problematic for me is if you've learned them wrong, you got to do a little bit of unlearning. So he's got this practice on that free course where you learn the whole morning program but you just listen for 21 days. That's his protocol. You listen for 21 days and you relearn these. So if you're new to shlokas, I got good news for you. You can learn from the get-go how to chant these mantras, and they just very rhythmically, poetically stay in your mind. So thank you and welcome to the show. And now he lives in Gujarat with his family.
Yeah, so we just recently learned some very popular, famous Vedic mantras, which are supposed to be chanted with specific voice intonations that are very strictly assigned to certain. Yeah, we can just give a live demo. Gaurangi, can you come? Yeah, you sit here. So,
this is Gaurangi, your
daughter.
Short.
Gaurangi. This is Nayanamani.
Oh, Nayanamani.
Welcome, Nayanamani.
Hare Krishna.
And Gaurangi. Yeah.
Look at these kids.
Yeah.
What's
So,
what's it? Gaurangi?
This is Gaurangi.
Gaurangi and Nayanamani. Yeah. So we'll just chant a few mantras. So of course, everyone knows this is the most famous is Brahmagayatri Mantra. So we'll chant the way it is to be chanted, if you chant it audibly. All right, let's do it. Okay. Brahmagayatri. Okay. Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Like this. And another one is the famous.
Well, I've been chanting that one wrong all these years.
Me too.
No wonder it's not working.
That felt purifying just to hear that.
Yes, that was powerful.
Yeah, it's amazing. So another one is we love the one for Lord Shiva. Which
give me that one. Give me that one. I need that.
Mrityunjaya mantra, the mantra that defeats death. And it's sometimes called Triambaka mantra, addressing Lord Shiva as the three-eyed Lord, the increaser of nourishment. So, okay, let's do Triambaka. Let's do Triambaka now, okay?
She wants to do another one?
Yeah. Okay. Om Triambakaya Jamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamritat.
Oh, why didn't we learn this when we were
that's all I can say right now. Instead of appreciating how wonderful they are, all I can say is, what have I done with my life? Why have I wasted my life?
What were we doing when we were that age?
What was I doing? Well, you adopt me. I'll be your big doofy son.
Start it all over.
Eating all your food. Okay.
And
more,
one of
please.
Our most favorite ones, and actually it's my favorite one, is about how pure-hearted sages see everywhere the abode of Vishnu and manifest it in this world.
Oh, please.
So I could never find the way to chant this mantra anywhere, but recently I dug up some traditional chanting by Rigveda Pandits, and so we learned this one, and it really sounds cool. So okay, Tad Vishnu, okay. Om Tad Vishnu of Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Suraya Divi Eva Chakshuratatam Tadvipraso Vipanyavo Jagrivang Sasamin Dhate Vishnoryat Paramam Padam.
Oh, I want to start taking these classes now. That's beautiful. We chant before doing seva, right before doing the puja.
Yeah, it comes in the worship, deity worship.
Yeah, what a beautiful, we're purifying. You chant that in your mind, just all those garbage thoughts just start to dissipate, and you replace them.
I just put up is it a YouTube channel or a YouTube page of the kids chanting with Nityananda. It's beautiful. He sent it to me last week, and I've been playing it a lot. These kids are beautiful. Can we have one more? Do you mind just doing one more? I'll take anything.
Sure. This is another one from Ishopanishad about how everything is complete. The God is complete. The world is complete. 1 minus 1 remains 1.
Yes. Om Purnami Dam. Let's see how bad I've been chanting this one all these years. Okay.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Yeah.
Yep, doing that all wrong too. That is beautiful. That now let me. Does it make a difference by doing the inflections in the voice?
Yeah, actually, it's strictly assigned. Like on a certain syllable, you have to go down. On a certain syllable, you have to go up. And sometimes even the short vowel you have to pronounce as long, which is like, normally considered wrong. But this is the unique feature of this Vedic chanting tradition, which has been actually recognized by UNESCO as a
World Heritage Site.
It's a World Heritage because it doesn't come in it's beyond grammar. You just have to learn it from the line how they chant. And there are also many lines like branches, like the same Rig Veda. Presently 2 surviving branches are there, so each mantra, the same mantra chanted by either of those branches will have slight variations in pitches and where they're placed and all these things. So it's extremely interesting thing to actually research and study and go around and like that.
We used to have something similar in Catholic Mass. Did you grow up Catholic? Do you remember the priest? I think it was universal. All the priests would be like, no, 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 they're like this talky, singy voice, and then that's all we got for inflection in Catholic Mass. That was so beautiful. And Nityananda, so people are asking about the course. So I put up this. Maybe you can put that in the show notes, Mara, the link to the kids chanting. But Sanskrit Sense is the website. Where to have it?
Yeah, I also so there is that amazing free course for all those who want to learn the standard discount prayers, and also there are 2 more courses, my flagship courses, which is complete Sanskrit pronunciation, where I basically fix the pronunciation so that your Sanskrit sounds like Sanskrit, doesn't sound like English, so that it doesn't sound like German, doesn't sound like Hindi, it sounds like Sanskrit. Yeah, and in the next level is this Sanskrit chanting mastery, where we actually having fixed our speech, our sounds, we actually go into the verses and the meters, and there are some more subtle rules, and we actually make the perfect chanter out of you. So that's the one. And so I've given like for 2 days 25% off to all the members of this podcast. So
great. So I just put that. That on the board, Nityananda. Check out that link. Sanskrit Sense.
Sanskrit Sense.
Sanskrit Sense. SENSE. Thinkific.com/courses. And the code is wisdom25 off. Wisdom25 off. That's great. That's great. So is Sanskrit is
yes.
Would you say it's the mother language of language? What do you think?
Well, it has descended from the spiritual world.
That's what I want to hear. I want to hear metaphysical answers.
Yeah, but in that sense, it doesn't have a beginning. But I mean, there are some languages that have probably originated separately from Sanskrit, like Tamil, for example, that according to the tradition, it has been invented by Lord Shiva. And, there could be possibly a few languages that were made in this realm.
Okay, so Tamil is not from Sanskrit roots, but it's an ancient language in South India. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well,
he's saying it is from Sanskrit roots.
Oh, it is from Sanskrit roots. Okay.
There are many roots in Tamil, but the pure Tamil has its own, vocabulary, and it's independent of Sanskrit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pure.
But you're living in Gujarat. What do they speak? They speak Gujarati in Gujarat. Is that a
Gujarati,
Sanskrit origin?
Yeah. Most of North Indian languages are, have originated from Sanskrit.
And the script itself. Now, if I want to learn it, besides taking your courses, is it important to learn the Devanagari, the actual alphabet, or is it better just to focus on perhaps the root words?
It's for pronunciation, not required, because we have that Romanized Sanskrit, which represents all the sounds perfectly.
Yeah.
It's just if you know Devanagari, you might be able to have a wider access to different texts. But nowadays you get a lot of transliterated texts available. So it's not like quintessential to your mastery of the language that you know Devanagari necessarily. But normally everybody learns.
Okay, well, Nityananda, we're honored to have you guys. And Nayana Mani and Garangi, we are very, very impressed and inspired. And I'm a little depressed, but I'm impressed with you and depressed with myself. Very, very good chanting, ladies. Keep it up. And Nityananda, you get a dad win for that today too. I'm very impressed as you as a dad.
Beautiful. Thank you, girls. That was wonderful.
That was wonderful. And thanks for joining the show. We're going to call you back if we're running into some Sanskrit sinkholes in our life. We're going to get you back, Nityananda. And thanks for offering our people that course discount. And everybody should check out that link we put up on the board. It's going to be in the show notes on YouTube, and show notes on the podcast. Okay. Okay. Fantastic. Thanks, you guys. I know you're busy today, so you have to take off, but Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Hari.
All right.
Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada. Oh,
that's wrong.
That's wrong.
It's all wrong.
Is that why you're taking this course? Wrong.
It's like just wrong. Kaustubha, are we going to do the Bhagavatam, or are we going to do the Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Well, I thought we could maybe discuss this Chaitanya Charitamrita commentary because it's a special day today.
It's a special day. It's the Gundicha Marjana, which is the cleansing of the Gundicha temple. And it's a great pastime in Lord Chaitanya's Leelas. All right.
Well, why don't we chant the mantras nonetheless?
We'll chant okay. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chai. Oh, you know what? Let's get Nityananda to chant this. I'm chanting. I'm not going to chant my faulty mantras in front of him. Can you chant Narayanam and the other one?
Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam deving saraswating vyasam tato jayamudirayet nashtaprayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishthiki.
We should start doing it just like that, Raghunath.
Yeah, I should. I'm going to learn those at least. Now, Om Jnana, please.
Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Beautiful. You know, I'm hanging too long on certain syllables and not cutting it quick enough.
Okay.
That was beautiful. You're a beautiful man, Nityananda. Thank you.
Yeah, do you know that verse, Raghunath? Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada.
I mean, I know it just from hearing it, but I don't know it.
That's from the Rig Veda.
Yeah, I don't know.
They say that's like the oldest book anybody even knows of. You know,
yeah, I know. So I already hate myself this morning now.
No, you don't have to hate yourself for that. Right? That's not how it works. But here's the translation. You ready? Yeah. Just as the sun's rays in the sky are extended to the mundane vision, so in the same way, the wise and learned devotees always see the supreme abode of Lord Vishnu. Because those highly praiseworthy and spiritually awake brahmanas are able to see the spiritual world, they're also able to reveal that supreme abode of Lord Vishnu. Spiritual vision, Raghunath. Beautiful vision.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, Prabhu.
All right. So yeah, today's a special day. I mean, you know, it's a day we celebrated our Rath-yatra in New York a couple weeks ago, right?
Yep.
And so that's that big parade. And we spoke about it. if you go back, I think we had an episode called something about the esoteric side of bhakti, and we talked about this festival. And so that festival takes place, in the lunar calendar, the Vedic calendar, right? Which is it doesn't always line up, perfectly with the calendar that we generally follow, right? Which is according to the sun. So it'll appear on a different day every year there, but the same day on the lunar calendar. And they celebrate it in Puri, this festival. It's a huge festival. You may have, if you're unfamiliar with it, you may have seen photographs of it, sometimes, because it's such a massive thing. It's like you see like literally like 1 million people in this big wide road, and these huge colorful carts, and those carts have Krishna on them. Like the deity of Lord Krishna is being taken from this very ancient temple, the Jagannath temple. And every year it's this celebration where the idea is they're taking the Jagannath temple is representing like Dwarka, I suppose, where they're taking Krishna from where he's worshipped with opulence, where he's worshipped with like a sense of awe and reverence and majesty. And the gopis, Krishna's lovers, are taking him back to Vrindavan, which is Krishna's original abode, where he's worshipped not with reverence like a king, but he's worshipped with intimate love, like a dear friend or a dear lover. And so it's a very esoteric festival. But the point is that before they bring it, so there's a small temple that's at the other end of that road, and every year they pull those carts and they bring Krishna from that one temple to the other temple. And that other temple is called Raghunath?
The regular Jagannath temple?
No, the other temple where he's brought where they
the
bring him.
Gundicha temple.
The Gundicha temple.
It's the garden temple.
Yeah, the Gundicha Mandira. Means the Gundicha temple.
And it's a few kilometers away.
Yeah, and so the if we read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the book that, it's such an incredible book. I was speaking with Rachel about this yesterday, right? But the Chaitanya Charitamrita is a book where is not only a biography of Sri Chaitanya, right, who's in this lineage is seen as Krishna himself coming for the most beautiful purposes externally to spread bhakti through kirtan, and internally to relish. It's such a fantastic and beautiful theological concept, where it's God himself saying, recognizing that there's no greater experience than the experience of bhakti itself, than the experience of love for God. And he's saying, because I'm God, I'm the only one that can't experience it, right? So let me take the role of a devotee of Krishna and feel what that's like within myself to love God in such a beautiful and intimate way. So so Krishna himself takes the role of Sri Chaitanya and experiences bhakti himself, or experiences love of God himself. So this ceremony of taking Krishna back to Vrindavan there's very deep, beautiful, esoteric concepts blended into it that make it a very special ceremony. But we read in that book, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which again is not just his biography, but it's a book that it's almost like a manifesto through incredible discourses and conversations. We learn the subtleties and the speciality of this particular bhakti lineage, right? And a certain sweetness of divine love is revealed there that really hadn't been revealed before. And so all that comes out, and part of the way it comes out is in the description of this festival, where Sri Chaitanya takes all of his followers and they go to that Gundicha Mandir prior to this festival to cleanse, to clean that temple, right? To give it a big washing up, so that when they bring Lord Jagannath, Krishna, to that temple, it'll be very clean and pristine. And there's a symbolism in that as well. And that is that the Bhakti-yogi, the devotee, they want to invite Krishna into their mind and into their heart, to reside there and to relish that connection through love at all times. That's really where this yoga goes, right? It's this internal meditation that God is within me. But the idea is that if God is going to be always situated within me, then my temple, then my heart is like a temple, or you could say my mind is like a temple. And in order for God to be happy to reside there, just like you invite any guest to your home, you clean up your home, you make it real nice, right? And so the idea is that the devotee wants, just like Sri Chaitanya and all of his followers are cleansing this temple before bringing Krishna there, we all need to purify our minds and our hearts for Krishna to reside there. And then what is it that needs to be, what is it that the mind and heart need to be cleansed of? There's this fantastic commentary on one of the verses from that text that goes into that. And so we can discuss that. But that's a beautiful concept, isn't it, Raghunath?
It's a great concept. It's sort of what we're doing when we're doing both our hearing our chanting, our bhajans, going to a kirtan, doing seva. I mean, even when we're doing some simple seva, like, you know, we're doing some painting last week, but we're thinking actually we're in this way we're cleansing our
Painting
heart.
the heart.
We're cleansing our heart. We're doing with love and service for the future generations of people will come here and learn about Krishna here, and the idea of cleansing to prepare is so beautiful. It's such a beautiful analogy.
You know what's one of, I think, the most beautiful songs, you know, devotional songs, is by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You know the song I'm thinking of?
No.
You know the song Mama Mana Mandire?
Mama Mana Mandire. That's all I know.
Murari, Shri Krishna Murari.
That's by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I have the lyrics for that up here. It's such a fascinating song because every verse is sung in a different melody. You know, it's really beautiful. You know. Anyway, here it is. Here's the translation. Mama Mana Mandire, right? Please abide in the temple of my heart, both day and night. O Krishna Murari, Krishna Murari, Sri Krishna Murari. So Murari is a name for Krishna. It means the slayer of the demon Mura. And that demon also represents, I think the word Mura also has something to do with like the covering, like of ignorance for the soul. So it's saying like, you know, come into my heart, destroy all my ignorance. You know, give me that, like we were just hearing in that other verse, that Om Tad Vishnu Padamam Padasara. Let me see clearly, let me perceive spirituality. So please abide in the temple of my heart, both day and night. He sings devotion, love, flower garlands, and sandalwood paste. Please accept them, O delighter of the heart. So in his mind, he's doing a worship of God within the heart, just like you would do in a temple. In life or death, I worship you with these offerings, beautiful one, O enchanter of the heart. Come, O son of Nanda, and then I will offer you an arti ceremony with the lamplight of my love. Right? And so when, again, these external rituals that we do of seva, puja, it's really this, it's meant to bring our mind to this kind of internal meditation. And he says, the waters of the Yamuna cascade incessantly from my eyes in your separation, O holder of Govardhan Hill. May I pass my life absorbed only in songs of your praise, O Krishna Murari, Krishna Murari. So the same idea is here in this cleansing of the Gundicha temple. Do you remember some of the details of the story of how it goes, Raghunath?
I just know that it's an annual cleanse that they do every year to this day.
Yeah, and so what happens is when Sri Chaitanya, he brings all of his followers into that temple, they all start to clean up, right? First, they're sweeping it with their brooms, right? It's dusty in there, and they're creating their piles, and they're bringing them out. And Sri Chaitanya, he's not, there's a symbolism, right? Like that dust and the dirt in the temple is representing our own ignorance, our own material attachments, and we'll go into more detail how those, more detail is specifically what that is. But it represents that inner ignorance or those inner attachments. And everybody's cleaning them, and it seems like, okay, the place is clean now. And then Sri Chaitanya says, no, go further. It's still not fully clean. And then they go back and they're cleaning more, you know. And he keeps encouraging them, no, that's not enough, you know. And it's symbolizing that this is how Bhakti Yoga is practiced, that as we begin to become purified, as we begin to become more selfless, as we begin to become more detached from selfishness, more detached from materialistic concerns, we begin to see that whatever materialism or selfishness is left within us, even others may not notice it, but the devotee shouldn't be satisfied until it's all purified, it's all removed. So it's an encouragement to go. It's kind of like this. It's like when you practice spirituality, you may like give certain things up, right? And you may feel like, well, I'm kind of special now, I'm kind of pure now, it's like, no, now you got to do the real work. There's these subtle things within the mind and heart, that the saint, the real, the real yogi, they're very determined to kind of like purify out of their mind and out of their existence. And so in one of this is one of the verses that comes up in the description of towards the end of this cleansing, and this is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Madhya Lila, chapter 12, text 135. It says, outside the gateway of the temple, all the roads were also cleansed, and no one could tell exactly how this was done. Right? And again, there's a metaphor to it. It's like, in the end, no one knows exactly how the saint got entirely purified, right? But it's miraculous. It's, God helps one who's endeavoring intensely to become free of all of their selfishness and all the materialism. So then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, this is the guru of Srila Prabhupada. He wrote a commentary on this verse where he begins to discuss this process of internal purification and the kind of things that we're meant to become free from. Would you like to read it, Raghunath, or would you like me to read it?
I don't have it up.
Do you want to pull it up?
Yeah, you want
maybe we could trade off chapters. Paragraphs. I could read a paragraph. You could read.
Send me that link.
I'll send you that link. I'll put it up on the board. Everyone can get it. Let's see.
Mama Monday.
What was that? Okay, I just sent it out there on the board.
That's it.
Okay, so here's the first paragraph. In commenting on the cleansing of the Gundicha temple, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, so I feel like pronouncing things correctly right now, right?
Yeah.
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura says that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the world leader, was personally giving instructions on how one should receive Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, within one's cleansed and pacified heart. Okay, this is the practice of Bhakti Yoga, right? It involves external actions, but it's all about the role that it plays internally. That our heart should become cleansed, our mind and heart should become cleansed and pacified through this practice. If one wants to see Krishna seated in their heart, they must first cleanse the heart, as prescribed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shikshastaka, his famous 8 prayers, where he sings Chaito Dharpana Marjana, which literally means the cleansing, the marjana of the Chaita, of the consciousness or of the mind. In this age, everyone's heart is especially unclean. As confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Hridyanta sto yabhadrani. We were talking about that verse yesterday, I think, or the day before. Yep. To wash away all the dirty things accumulated within the heart, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised everyone to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. The first result will be that the heart is cleansed, Chaito Dharpana Marjana. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam 1:2:17 confirms this. Shrinvatam Svakata Krishna.
Quoted that yesterday too. Come on.
Yeah, well, that's the same one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Shrinvatam Svakata Krishna. Punya Shravana Kirtanaha. Hridyanta sto yabhadrani. Virunoti suhritsatam. The translation of that verse that's from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:2:17. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, the super soul within everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Okay, take it, Raga.
If a devotee at all wants to cleanse his heart, he must chant and hear the glories of Lord Krishna. Srinivatam Svakata Krishna. This is the simple process. Krishna himself will help cleanse the heart because he is already seated there. Krishna wants to continue living within the heart, and the Lord wants to give directions, but one has to keep his heart as clean as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept the Gundicha temple. The devotee, therefore, has to clean his heart just as the Lord cleansed the Gundicha temple. In this way, one can be pacified and enriched in bhakti, devotional service. If the heart is filled with straw, grains of sand, weeds, or dust, in other words, anya bilasha purna.
Yeah, that's a play on. There's a famous verse, anya bilasita shunyam, meaning the heart being shunya, devoid of selfish desire. Here it's saying these straws, sands, weeds, metaphorically, they all represent anya bilashita purna, full of materialistic attachments and selfishness. And
so if one's got all that stuff, one cannot enthrone the supreme personality of Godhead there. We want to enthrone the Lord on our hearts. The heart must be cleansed of all material motives brought about through fruitive work, speculative knowledge, the mystic yoga system, and so many other forms of so-called meditation. It is one of these things you'll notice. Like, I mean, a lot of us struggle just with the basics, which isn't even getting in the door. You know, I gave up eating meat. I've been attached to it my entire life, and now I'm going to give that up. That's a big hurdle for a lot of people. Or, you know what? I've been drinking beer with my buddies, and all of a sudden I stumbled into spirituality. Now I've got to give up beer. Okay, I'm going to let go of that. And it makes sense. I wasn't getting stuff out of it. It always left me feeling horrible, and it was overweight, whatever. I'm going to start giving these things up. These are things preparing us to get us through a threshold into our spiritual life. And I think it's safe to say that even when you go decide, yep, this is what I'm into, I'm going to opt in, I fully get it, I move into the ashram, and I go to ashram month at Super Soul Farm. And then you notice there's all these subtle things that come up. Those things are the major things. Those are the major things, those principles of restricting our diet, restricting our thoughts, restricting our or relating our sexuality. Those things are super important because they trigger these big ego things. But once you get those out of the way, then it gets really subtle. We start working on it. We can even get proud or arrogant of, I woke up earlier than Kaustubha did today. Kaustubha slept in a little. I must be more advanced than him. Or, I've learned that shloka much better. I know so many shlokas. So there's so many things subtly that we use to endorse our ego or our sense of I'm betterness or me at the centeredness. And this is a complete process, starting from the outside, those very gross things, all the way into these very refined things. And that's what we're talking about now. We're stuck in the mud. A lot of us are just stuck in the mud, and our wheels are spinning in the mud, and we got to call AAA to get us out of the material realm. So this regulation of the senses, the intoxicants, etc., that is just to get the car out of the mud, and now we can go for the real
thing.
Speed. Go for the speed. Go for the real. Now we can really accelerate.
In the sentence that you just read, these are all references. Like, the more that you immerse yourself in these texts, the more that you pick up on the things that Prabhupada's saying. He said the heart must be cleansed of all material motives brought about through fruitive work. That means the practices, the ritualistic practices of karma taught in the four Vedas. Speculative knowledge, there he's speaking about the practice of jnana yoga. And mystic yoga, there he's talking about, Ashtanga yoga. And he says in many other so-called forms of meditation, the idea here is he's saying that each one of those generally has a goal that's not entirely pure, right? The goal of the Karma Kanda section in the Vedas is material enjoyment. The goal of Jnana Yoga is not exactly pure love, but it's actually freedom from the sufferings of this world. And in mystic yoga, the desire is, I'm going to do this intense yoga practice, but I'm going to do it to get materialistic powers, siddhis. So he's saying that bhakti means you're pure of any of those desires. So the next sentence, Prabhupada clarifies that. He says, the
heart must be cleansed without an ulterior motive. As Srila Rupa Goswami says, Anya bilasita shunyam jnana inavritam. Probably butchered that one too. In other words, there should not be any external motive. One should not attempt material upliftment, understanding the supreme by speculative knowledge, fruitive activity, severe austerity, and penance, and so on. So that's basically what Kaustubha was just saying.
Mm-hmm.
All these activities are against the natural growth of spontaneous love of Godhead. So these are the things that people could actually mistake in one sense for spirituality. I live alone. I live in an isolated place. I'm not taking place. I'm not taking part in foolish society things. I just read books. So you can mistake that for spirituality, but they can also be deeply blended with some type of material motive.
All these activities are against the natural growth.
Why don't you read?
Of spontaneous love of God. As soon as these are present within the heart should be understood to be unclean and therefore unfit to serve as Krishna's sitting place. We cannot perceive the Lord's presence in our hearts unless our hearts are cleansed. This is if we want to go deep into bhakti, the idea is I want to carry God in my mind and heart at every moment. And now, so my practice is to purify the mind and heart so that Krishna will reside there, just like a temple. So this commentary goes on. Yep, go ahead.
Before we go on, I think it's important to say, because we're the bar that Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, the Vedic tradition is setting is so very high. And a person like myself, when I hear those two young girls come in and chant, like, who are these children doing this? And like, I can't even stop eating onions and garlic, or I can't even stop drinking, a glass of wine with my pasta every night, or I can't, there's so many hoops to jump through, it seems, to get to some high place. And part of the human inclination is the bar is too high. You know what? I just got to set my bar real low. Can you talk about the tension that will always exist? And it's not a bad tension to be like, what is ideal and what is real?
Well,
because we want to duff up, right? I hear the girls chanting, I'm not going to learn Sanskrit. I should have learned when I was 8, right?
One can think like that. Of course, our goal isn't to chant Sanskrit perfectly either. The value in that chanting is that it's engaged for the pleasure of God. And I may not be able to please God in that way, but I can. But no one is disqualified from acting in a way to please God. And the idea is that it's one should be able to look within their own mind and heart and see what they don't want there, and without becoming immobilized by that, or discouraged by that, one should become encouraged by that, right? It's like you step into a dirty room and you say, damn, this place is dirty. You could just give up, or you can say, roll up your sleeves and let's get busy with enthusiasm and with the faith that even though I have so many disqualifications, there's so much help there that God assists one. And that's what these verses are saying. Like we were just a little bit further up, Shrinvatam Svakata Krishna, that Krishna is within the heart of the devotee, fact, and he's the benefactor of the truthful devotee, right? As long as there's no hypocrisy in us, as long as we're not posing as something that we're not, as long as we're truthful, then he cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee. And what's the process? The one who's relishing the messages, right? The one that's coming and hearing Bhagavatam on a daily basis. It's powerful. Have faith in it. We don't have to be perfect Sanskrit chanters. It's a beautiful thing when someone learns that's science, right? And makes an offering of it and chants, and we can hear it from them and feel purified by it. And that's fine too, So we shouldn't be discouraged. In this whole pastime, the way it's playing out is like everyone's like, okay, we cleaned it up, we're done, right? And Sri Chaitanya's like, no, keep cleaning, go further, there's more, And it's not that everyone said, oh God, really? No, they said, okay, let's start cleaning more, like
really? All right.
Yeah. And so that's how we should feel. We should always feel encouraged. And if we get in that groove, you get to that point where one may feel a certain kind of healthy disgust with one's own shortcomings, but it's a disgust that's not like, again, it's not demoralizing or immobilizing, but it's rather encourages one, right? That like, you know, there's more. Let's keep going.
You know, it's the tension doesn't go away. The tension's always there. The tension to improve and to refine ourselves should always be there, but it shouldn't be kept with this self-deprecation. I'm never good enough. Let it be there. Let it live there. Because even if you say, well, you know what, I'll never jump that high. Guess what? The feeling of I'm just giving up and I'm just going to keep the bar very low, that will never satisfy you either.
Right.
There will be a problem there as well. If you think, well, I'm not going to just jump high, I'm going to just stew in my bath for a few decades. That's not going to work either. There will be something inside of us that'll say, no, it's time to upgrade. What are you doing here? You've been doing this for years. Come on, people. You know better than this. Let the tension exist, but don't let that tension turn into self-hate, which is, I think, a tendency where the mind can go very often. There is a reality and there is an ideal, and let that ideal always pull us higher. And you know what? There is never going to be some like, you're never going to feel like, now I know it all. Now I'm perfect at it. There's always more songs to learn. There's always more slokas to learn. There's always more yoga poses to do. There's always more Sanskrit refining you can do. There's always more puja rituals you can do. Let that always exist. You're never gonna catch up, and that's okay.
And you know, that's beautiful what you're sharing, Raghunath. And in one sense, you know, maybe I can't chant Sanskrit like that. Maybe I'm not as pure. Maybe I struggle with bad habits and so on. But you know what? There's nothing preventing me from, without hypocrisy, saying this is where I'm at right now. But the Lord is unlimited in his ability, in his grace. And let me just go find someone who's more advanced than me, who's a step ahead of me, even if they're just one step ahead of me. And let me serve them, right? Let me roll up my sleeves and serve them. And bhakti can be practiced as simply as that. You know, it's that sincerity and that desire to serve. But, you know, we're running a little low on time, so I think maybe let's move a little forward in this commentary.
Sure.
Because some interesting things come out. And these are some of those subtle things, right? It's like, okay, maybe in the beginning we give up some bad habits, but then there's these more subtle things that one has to uproot or cleanse from the temple of their heart.
I can't remember where I left it. Is the material desires explained? Is that it?
That's where I'm going. The specifics. So no. I'm way down in the purport now. Prabhupada writes, by his practical example, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has shown us that all the grains of sand must be picked up thoroughly and thrown outside. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also cleansed the outside of the temple, fearing that the grains of sands would again come back within. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that even though one may become free from the desire for fruitive activity, sometimes the subtle desire for fruitive activity again comes into being within the heart. One often thinks of conducting business to improve devotional activity, but the contamination is so strong that it may later develop into a misunderstanding described as kuta nati, fault finding, and pratishtasa, the desire for name and fame and for high position. Jiva hingsa, envy of other living envy of other living entities. Nishidhachara, accepting things forbidden in the Shastra. Kama, desire for material gain. And puja, hankering for popularity. Right? Some of these are the more subtle things. Even as one advances in devotional service, these more subtle ideas start arising in the heart. The word kutanati means duplicity. As an example of pratisthasha, one may attempt to imitate Haridas Thakur by living in a solitary place. Just like you're saying, I'm living in a solitary, I'm posing as a deeply spiritual person, but really there's something in me that wants to be praised for it, right? That wants to be recognized and so on.
Right.
I want some prestige from it. That's got to be rooted out too. You know, one's real desire may be for name and fame. In other words, one thinks that fools will accept one to be as good as Haridas Thakur, this famous renunciate, just because one lives in a solitary place. These are all material desires. A neophyte devotee is certain to be attacked by other material desires as well, namely desires for sex and money. In this way, the heart is again filled with dirty things and becomes harder and harder, like that of materialist. Gradually, one desires to become a reputed devotee or an avatar incarnation. I've been sending Raghunath these videos of this one person that poses as an avatar, and he's just so shameless about it. It's just
He's a shameless
so
avatar.
absurd, and all these people like cheering him. It's like, oh my God, it's.
You got to read the Bhagavatam. Give some discernment.
Yeah. So this commentary goes on, and it goes into detail about jiva himsa. What is envy of other living entities, and what does it look like? And pratishtasa. What is the desire for prestige and so on. It's a fascinating, if anyone just wants to read it, it's more than we have time for. We're running out of time. But again, this is the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Madhya Leela, Madhya 12, text 135, chapter 12, text 135. I would recommend, for people that listen to Wisdom of the Sages all the time and they're into it, if you can find that, you can find it online at vedabase.io, and then go into the library and find it. But it's a nice day to read that entire chapter. This is like a practice that you can do every year on this day, is like read this entire chapter. And as the years pass by, you begin to learn it more and understand it more, and it becomes part of your, part of what you carry around with you. It's beautiful stuff.
All right. It's time for Mara and her takeaways. By the way, a great takeaway that Jennifer put on the board. I just wanted to say, because it had something to do with that tension between setting the bar high and self-deprecation. It's the 12-step famous progress, not perfection. In bhakti, sometimes you're like the perfection of yoga, the highest pure bhakti, and it sets the bar so high that I can't even. It makes sometimes, for me, it makes me like, I just can't do this. This is too progress, not perfection. Such a powerful T-shirt right there.
Invite Krishna to reside in our hearts.
Let's get that mic. You can just swing that mic right over to you nowadays. With that,
swing it over.
Invite Krishna to reside in our hearts.
There you go.
Yeah, just waiting for me to respond.
Well, purify and cleanse our minds and hearts.
Same one.
Yeah. Call AAA to get out of the mud and accelerate our spiritual life.
Accelerate spiritual life. Yes.
Have faith in the process.
Have faith in the process, people. It works, right? It works. Just keep going.
Works.
It's working.
Always feel encouraged to go deeper.
Yes. Yeah.
We want to enthrone God in our hearts.
We sure do.
I like that. That's a T-shirt.
Let the ideal pull us higher.
Oh, that's nice. Don't be discouraged by it. Let us pull us higher.
Let the idea pull us higher.
And appreciate how far we've come.
There you go. You've come a long way, Mara, Raghu.
Come on.
I'm still behind you. I'm lagging behind. Pull me along.
Lee says, I couldn't formulate a takeaway, but the message was very impactful. I have a lot of cleaning to do. We all have a lot of cleaning to do. That's sort of our takeaway. And don't hate yourself for the cleaning. This is part of our work here. This is why we're here. It's not like there is a God and then we're just like a bunch of dirtbags. We have an opportunity here to cleanse ourselves and raise our consciousness and, make ourselves divine, resurrect our own divinity. You don't have to look out there for the divine being there, the divine being there. You can be that divine being and you can perfect yourself. Not that we're God, but you're God-like a drop from the ocean. It's a beautiful process. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thanks, everybody on Zoom. You can join us on Zoom, too, by getting the secret code from Mara. wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. Also, if you have questions, you can send them to Mara at the same address. Looking forward to seeing all our others this weekend at the Wisdom of the Sages retreat. I'm looking forward to Kaustubha coming up here because I got a big pillow for you waiting, Kaustubha. It's going to be pillow fights and no baked cookies. rolling down the hill together, embracing, laughing, unabashed laughing. He always blushes when I say this. And then we have people coming from all over. There's Vicky from Cyprus. She's coming. She's coming from Cyprus.
Oh, really? No, she's coming from
Yeah, she's
Chicago.
coming from Chicago.
Oh, that's
Catherine
great.
A, are you coming to that? Don
You know, I
Keeler.
saw a photograph of Victoria reunited with her parents who were trapped, you know, in that, what is it called? Maria Pool, that city that was getting bombed so heavy.
Now I saw that picture too. Her
Yeah.
parents were
So they got out, which was a really hard city to get out of. It was getting bombed really heavy, and there's no escapes. So they got out, and they all met up.
in
That's a
Chicago.
good thing. Yeah.
Incredible. We're happy. They were in our prayers. Ramit Pandit, I hope I see you. Pandit. And also, me and Seth Lieberman are doing the Kirtan School next week, Wednesday through Sunday. That's the last thing. And then we're going to hit the road for our Italy retreat, which I'm excited for. You know what we've done? What was going on here, Kaustubha, is we are creating parties, educational experiences, communities of people who just want to upgrade the consciousness and feed off that. We're feeding off that. Nothing changes. It's just an upgraded, higher vibe. It's quite wonderful. And so, yeah, please join us for any of these things. Go to wisdomofthesages.com. Go to Sage Academy. And also, of course, if you haven't heard by yet, Johnny Harrison is joining us at the retreat. Doyal Garunga is going to come. It's going to be a party up here for Kirtan. And we have a special one-day ticket. You can come up for vegan barbecue and Indian street food.
Is Genevieve, do we know if she's coming up for the whole thing yet, or just for that Sunday?
She won't let us know. She's keeping us on the edge of our seat.
Okay.
We're going to surprise her with a big welcome kirtan.
Wow.